we recommend that you approve this.
Question, we had,
Yes.
in prior workshops with this group, the 4 options that were listed here have been fairly well discussed. I'm just curious, what other options might there be besides the 4 that are listed there? That seems fairly across the board. I don't know. What other choices might there be to look at?
Well, I was not at the January 17th meeting due to illness, but Mr. Smoke was, so we'll let him answer that.
Sounds good. Thanks, Janet. There's actually 2 other options that the consultant's looking at that the Personnel Committee wanted to consider. Both of them are just very different from the plans that you see before you. So with that, it is causing them to do quite a bit of work to come up with a different scenario for the board to consider here down the road.
Hybrids, or how just without giving out too much detail or putting us to sleep, how different are they?
Well, one is extremely complex, I'll just say that, and it is a hybrid type model. And one is a variation of Social Security and a matching 401 type program. So with those 2, again, it's running numbers and trying to see what the best options are for the town based on our budget and what employees can afford to.
Any more discussion? Anybody have a motion?
Motion to approve the First Amendment to contract for actuarial services made with USI Consulting Group for payment not to exceed amount of $9,500.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next item is Resolution 2011-2, resolution declaring certain town property to be surplus property.
Yes, sir. As was mentioned earlier, the volleyball court lights and the baseball field lights at Mayor Bob Leonard Park are in the process of being replaced. The volleyball court and baseball lights, they are in working condition of a market value greater than $100, therefore meeting the criteria to be a surplus item. The town will be advertising the lighting on govdeals.com, which is an online governmental surplus auction site. Our current policy declares that property shall be disposed of by public auction or sealed bids. This resolution approval will allow for the removal of the items from our fixed asset list and advertise the sale of the items on the GovDeals website. Staff recommends the approval of Resolution 2011-02, resolution declaring certain town property be surplus property.
What I heard you say is that it has to go on auction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm getting a clarification on the rules. Why don't you go to the podium, because we're probably going to have some discussion here. So what's the deal?
Our current policy, it does declare that the property shall be disposed of by public auction or sealed bids.
So
Did you receive his sealed bid?
We've not advertised for it yet.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we can't advertise for sealed bids until after the board has actually surplus the property, because right now it's still our property.
all right. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, let's dispose of this resolution first, then, and then talk.
That the only alternative is that it must be surplus property to be donated? Because if you could go a donation route instead of declaring it surplus property, is that in any way an option, or could the board vote to create and make that an option and make it available instead of declaring it surplus?
Mr. Hale, I think we need your help here.
I'm kind of caught off guard about this, but we've looked at this before. There have been 2 or 3 times when we've had requests for donations of property, and there's a state statute that deals with our ability to donate, and I'm sorry, I don't have it memorized, but my recollection is that only certain kinds of organizations can we give property to? And I don't, without going and looking at the statute, I can't tell you if what we're being asked to do would fit under the statute. I'd have to go take a look at it. So.
Well, I think we're basically at an impasse tonight. Let me suggest that you come to the next meeting. In the meantime, we'll get the legal facts in order.
I would like to discuss other options. When the lights, Justin and I met at the volleyball court where the church is early in January, and we went over to look at the lights at Bob Leonard Park to see how to put them up. And at that time, they had already taken them down. We immediately contacted the town of Farragut, and this was about 6 weeks ago. And so Justin turns 18 in about 6 weeks now. So, then he won't be able to do this project with the lighting. So it was the impetus for putting the lighting up for surplus was, I do believe, our initial inquiry and desire to acquire the lighting. It was recommended at that time to the town administrator that this be put up, as it has in the past, for sealed bid in the newspaper. But that determination came back that wouldn't work. A couple more weeks elapsed. We were waiting for this to go up on Gov Deals, and now a couple more weeks have lapsed, and so we're running out of time. The quickest way to make them available is do a sealed bid, put it in the newspaper for a week, and then we can probably recover the time that we need to make it work. I think it's very much of a lost opportunity to put property of the town up for public auction and then send it out over the international web for people to bid on it when you have an immediate need as a good neighbor, the church next door to your park, where people park their cars all the time on our church. And we've had to put in irrigation systems to be able to keep the grass growing where the parades of people come across the grass at the church to go to the park for events and activities. So, and I just think we've been a very good neighbor, and we want to continue to do that. And so we want to explore all the options that are available to make this happen, because I think, as you said earlier, this is a no-brainer. The community is going to benefit. The opportunity is there. The scouts are there. The scouts meet at this church youth facility. You can see the scouts here tonight. They're part of the community, and we need to do the best we can to retain our resources within this community, if at all possible. So I know the timing puts it as an awkward situation, but we'd like to discuss whatever it is that we could possibly do tonight to have a clear path forward with a definite timeline that would work for the possibility of keeping the lights here locally.
I can only speak for myself, but I would feel that it would be right and just for us to do such a thing. The question is, can we do it? And that's what we need to find out.
I would guess then, and I would, as I mentioned, would be to, if the town can vote on this, or make a motion, or however you do business, but is to go ahead and declare it as surplus property, and then if you could possibly keep it local, put it in the local paper instead of going to Gov Deals. This Gov Deals has never been done by the town before, so it really is much more awkward and much more difficult to operate within those boundaries. So if the town's willing to be following their bylaws to go ahead and do a sealed bid advertised in the local newspaper as it's allowed, and do a sealed bid, and if you could just put it out for a week, that would give us time to that we need to go ahead and execute the project should we be able to secure the lighting. If we can't secure the lighting, then I've got to identify an alternative source, and that may take a little time as well.
The only thing we can vote on tonight is this resolution, because it has to be published in the paper, anything that we're going to make a decision on.
Correct. And
it has to be published in advance. So this is the only thing we can act on.
I would suggest then I'm asking you to go ahead and declare it surplus, unless is there any chance to go for a donation, then that's be the first desired outcome. Is if it's been declared for more than $100 and that option is not available, then I would suggest that we go ahead and act upon this resolution and declare it as surplus property, and then the town can make the decision on its own whether to do a sealed bid or do a gov deals. At least that'll get the ball rolling on it, and we'll just go from there.
All right.
Mayor, do you mind if I
Sure.
speak? The reason that we do either sealed bids or gov deals in this case, they both work the same way. Gov deals obviously has more exposure. It's very much like an eBay type of auction. You get online, everybody can bid. If they log into the gov deals, we could set up the same 1 week time frame that Mr. Mullins discussing for the local bid. And the whole idea is to give everybody the same chance to look at, bid at, whatever they want to do with the lights. There is some kind of value in the lights. It may be $50, it may be $5,000. We don't know what the value is of the lights, but obviously that's something that we go through this public process to allow entities to bid on if they're interested. If nobody's interested in bidding, then it's a very simple process. I think we could then negotiate or donate or whatever after that point in time. The board, I think, Mr. Hale's probably going to correct me, but I think the board does need to look at this and surplus the property in order to then give it out. I think when you're talking about donations, you're talking about other public entities. You could donate very easily to the city of Knoxville these lights, and I think that wouldn't be an issue. When it comes to other organizations that aren't public entities, that's when it gets a little bit more hairy. So with that being said, we can do what the board wishes regarding the auctioning of the items. We can either do it locally or we can go on the gov deals. I think what would happen is you'd get more people to bid on it if it was actually gov deals, possibly, but I don't know. I mean, this is a new thing for the town that we're trying to implement, and I think it'll work well in the long run.
Such a possibility for me to exchange a community service project for the town of Farragut in exchange for the lighting, or I can help the town out and donate my services to write grants for the town or something, whatever the value that you might assign this. And I'm just willing to work with any way we possibly can to make I think with the right thing that should happen on this is that the lighting would be very beneficial to the local community.
I'll take it you've had some discussion with our staff, right?
A little bit, but I wasn't able to get the meetings with Mr. Smoke, but I've had a phone call, and I did talk to Valerie Millsaps, and so she gave me some information, yes, and I've talked to the Public Works Director also, but nothing formal before this meeting tonight.
All we can do tonight is approve this resolution, and then I would suggest that you start maintaining a dialogue with the staff.
Yes, sir. I understand.
To see what we can do.
That's fair, and I understand that decision.
I understand that you want an opportunity to bid on the lighting. I mean, you'd love to have it donated, but you'd like to have an opportunity to bid on it.
Yeah. Unless I can write you a check tonight, I'll be happy to do that. Your name, your price.
Requirement on gov deals that we have to take the highest bidder, or is it just putting it out there to see who bids on it and we just decide what we want to do? I mean, are there any guidelines on that when you put it on gov deals?
Not really sure, but I knew it's set up similar to eBay, like David was saying, and you see a bid go in, you want to bid higher, you bid higher. So just my assumption is you would have to take the highest bidder in that instance.
If you're familiar with, I mean, anybody that's done eBay type auctions knows there's a lot of stress in that, and there's no guarantees, and so it's just that's the course you got to go. Such as that just have to deal with it. But to me, that'd be the hardest route for the public to be served here tonight.
Alderman Elliott, it'd be the same if it was a public auction as well. If we did public bid, we'd take the highest bid if it was published in the paper, just like we would through gov deals. So either way, we'd be looking at the highest offer.
Can we set a minimum or reserve? Say if we don't get a bid of more than $50, we can just keep them and give it to somebody of our choice, or give. Can we set a minimum or reserve in .gov or in a sealed bid?